Hey there, welcome back. Today we will be learning about the carbohydrates in brief. Before that, we need to know that carbohydrate, proteins, nucleic acids, and lipids, all of them are the biomolecules. So first, let's discuss about the biomolecule. So what is biomolecule? Biomolecule is a chemical compound which is naturally found in the living organism, and it can be classified into two types based on the molecular weight, that is into biomicromolecule or micromolecule, and the macromolecule or the biomacromolecule. So the micromolecules are the molecules which have a smaller molecular weight that is less than 800 Daltons, and they can be considered to be the monomeric unit of the macromolecules. That means that they are the smaller units and they make up the larger units, right? So example are the amino acids, simple sugars, simple nucleotides. They form the large polymeric units or the macromolecules. And on the other hand, the biomacromolecule or the macromolecules are those compounds which have a larger molecular weight that is more than 800 Daltons or more than 10,000 Daltons. So they can be considered to be the polymeric unit of the micromolecules. That means they are formed from the micromolecules like amino acids. Amino acids forms the proteins. So protein is a macromolecule which is formed from the micromolecule amino acids. Similarly, the sugars form the complex polysaccharide. So, what is a polysaccharide? They are the complex carbohydrates. And similarly, the nucleotides they form the nucleic acid, which is our DNA and RNA. So, let's study about the carbohydrates first. So, when we see the word carbohydrate, we split it into two words, carbo and hydrate. So, carbo means carbon based and hydrate means water. So, the term carbohydrate can be defined as they are the hydrates of carbon. But what if I told you that the definition of carbohydrates and its mathematical formula is considered to be invalid by the scientists? So, there are two reasons for it. First reason is that several non-carbohydrate sources like formaldehyde, acetic acid, lactic acid, all of them are the non-carbohydrate sources, but they obey the definition and they also obey the mathematical formula, but they can't be considered to be carbohydrate. Why I say this? Because you can see formaldehyde in several biology labs where they preserve the specimen in formaldehyde, or I can say the formalin, which is made up of formaldehyde, and the vinegar. Vinegar consists of dilute acetic acid and it is a non-calorific source. So we can't consider acetic acid also to be the carbohydrate source, right? So this definition thus is invalid. And whereas some genuine carbohydrate like rhamnohexose, deoxyribose, they do not satisfy the general formula, but they are the carbohydrates, right? And some also contain the nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur in the structure. So we can't consider the definition of carbohydrate to be true because carbohydrate says that it is the hydrate of carbon. But in the carbohydrate, in the genuine carbohydrate, we are also finding the nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. And whereas in some genuine carbohydrate like rhamnohexose deoxyribose, they do not satisfy this formula, right? So, thus, carbohydrate definition is proved to be wrong, and its mathematical formula is also wrong. So, the second reason the scientists have given is that they looked the structure of the actual sugar and under the modern tools like X-ray crystallography, NMR spectrometer, and the mass spectrometer, and they found that there are no water molecule inside a carbohydrate. So they have taken the high resolution 3D pic of these sugars, and hence they considered that carbohydrates can't always be considered to be the hydrates of carbon. But later, the term carbohydrate was used for the convenience rather than the actual definition or the mathematical formula. So we can call the carbohydrate to be sugars, or we can also call them saccharide. But do you know that the scientific word saccharide actually has its root right here in India? Yes, you heard me right. It comes from the ancient Sanskrit word sharkara, which literally means gravel or ground sugar. So the Greek borrowed this term saccharine, and then it evolved into the modern scientific term saccharide. So whenever you hear the word saccharide, you are using the term for carbohydrate. Therefore, modern science define carbohydrate are the polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones or substances that yield such compounds on hydrolysis. As you all know that poly means many and hydroxy means hydroxyl group. Okay, so they consist of several hydroxyl group in their carbon backbone, as well as they either contain the aldehyde unit or they contain the ketone functional group, and they also yield some compound or such compounds on hydrolysis, right? So now you know that what is a saccharide, and in the next video I will be explaining about the classification of carbohydrate. So thank you for watching.